Top 5 women who changed the face of the military. As said by comedian Elaine Boosler, we have women in the military, but they don't put us in the front lines. They don't know if we can fight, if we can kill. I think we can. All the general has to do is walk over to the women and say, "You see the enemy over there? They say you look fat in those uniforms." But we bring to you 5 women who changed the face of the military and how. Number 5. Fighter number 5 is LCS Odd. Lieutenant LCS Odd was a specialized flight nurse. What makes her so important is the fact that she took part in the first intercontinental air evacuation flight in January 1943. The most surprising fact is that Odd had no sort of formal training in air evacuation and had never flown in an airplane before. Despite having to complete an unfamiliar task without any type of training, Odd succeeded and was rewarded for her great efforts. She was given the first air medal that was ever presented to a female, and she was also given the opportunity to undergo formal flight nurse training. Number 4. Woman of courage at number 4 is Cordelia E. Cook. One of the many medically inclined females on the list, Cordelia E. Cook served as an Army Nurse Corps during World War II and stands as the first woman to receive 2 awards for her actions during the war, the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. Cook was stationed in Italy and was able to successfully perform her duties as a nurse during a time of tough battles and swarms of wounded and dying soldiers. Number 3. And at number 3 is Margaret Corbin. Margaret Corbin fought in the American Revolutionary War despite the status of women during her time. Born on November 12, 1751, Corbin lived the life of a normal woman of that era until she married John Corbin in 1772. They both fought alongside the hundreds of men battling against the British troops, most notably at Fort Washington in Manhattan. She helped alongside her husband in firing the cannon until he was injured and died. Bravely, she was able to successfully take over the job of firing the cannon. Margaret didn't come out unharmed. She was hit in her jaw, chest and arm and eventually had to surrender due to her injuries. She then moved to Philadelphia in 1779 and was granted money, the amount equaling to the pay of a soldier in battle for half a month. With this, she became the first woman ever to receive a pension. She is also the first and only Revolutionary soldier to be buried at West Point Cemetery. Number 2. Coming in at position 2 is Annie G. Fox. Annie G. Fox, born on August 4, 1893, was the first woman in the military to receive a Purple Heart for her courageous and outstanding performance in the Army Nurse Corps. Though the award was cancelled due to a change in requirements, most notably the fact that to be given the Purple Heart, you have to be injured, she was still given the Bronze Star, which is almost always given for an act of bravery. Fox played a big role in helping US soldiers during the attack on Pearl Harbor. Here, Fox was the first lieutenant and chief nurse at Hickam Field, Hawaii. Number 1. Braveheart number 1 is Mary E. Walker. Born in Oswego, New York, into an abolitionist family, Mary Walker today stands as the first and only woman in the entire military force to have ever received the Congressional Medal of Honor for her actions and duties during the Civil War. Before the Civil War broke out, Walker was the only female in her class to graduate with a medical degree from Syracuse Medical College. Soon after getting her degree, the war broke out and Walker volunteered to join the army as a medical officer but was given a stern no. Though discriminated against because of her gender, Walker pushed on, becoming the assistant surgeon in the Army of the Cumberland in 1863. During this time, she was able to modify an officer's uniform in order to properly travel alongside with soldiers. She was then made assistant surgeon on the 52nd Ohio Infantry but was captured in 1864 by the Confederates and released 4 months after. She then worked in Tennessee at a women's and orphan asylum. On November 11, 1865, she was awarded the Medal of Honor. It was taken away in 1917 after she didn't match up to the said standards at the time, but reinstated in 1977 posthumously.